In order to do exercise 20, you need to have a couple of things straight in your head first. One, you need to know your square of opposition thing with A, E, I, and O. So I'll usually write that down on a homework page so that I have it to look at. I know what the A, the E, and the I, and the O are. And I have a pretty good handle, on, where's the page I'm looking for? On this right here. So your A statement is basically all S is P, like all mothers are women. Or the E is the no S is P, no men are mothers. Some S is P, some men are parents. The O is some men are not parents, or something like that. You need to have a handle on those 4 statements, all right? The next thing you need to know is the difference between the major and the minor and the middle. And that is right here. They say in order to figure that out, the first thing you do is if you look at a syllogism, when you go to your conclusion statement, your minor is always the subject. You'll have a linking verb. Your major will be what follows the predicate. They call this the subject and this the predicate. So your minor is always in this spot. Your major is always in that spot, right? Your major is going to be also in your first statement. Sometimes it's first, sometimes it's second. Your minor will always be in your second statement. Again, sometimes it's first, sometimes it's second. So they call this one your major premise and this one your minor premise. Then there are going to be, your third term is going to be in both of these premises, and it's considered your middle. Again, sometimes it's first, sometimes it's second, sometimes it's, anyway, it can really be anywhere. So this is my color code. Minor is always here, major is always here. Your other major will be in your first row, your other minor will be in your second row. The middles, that's all about the figure. So if you go look at the figure, right here. What I had in orange over there is your middle. Again, this is only your major premise and your minor premise. We do not have a conclusion here because your middle will not be in your conclusion. So it's considered figure 1 if they are kind of diagonal like this. Figure 2 if they're both the second term. Figure 3 if they're both the first term. Figure 4 if they're diagonal the opposite direction. So I just flip back to this page constantly. So when you come over here and you look at exercise 20, remember this first one right here, this is going to be your minor and this one's your major. So periodicals and Bible. Bible is your major, periodicals is your minor. That means books is your middle. They happen to both be the second term. So when you come over here, that puts them at figure 2. Okay? So because we have an all statement, that's an A. Some periodicals are not book, that's an O. Some periodicals are not, that's also an O. So you really have to have a handle on your all SSP, some SSP, no SSP. You've got to know what those are. So me, I have them in my head, so I will write this down because for some reason I have trouble remembering where the letters go. But I have my statements down. All SSP, no SSP. Some SSP, some S is not P. Okay? Or, yeah, I think that's the way it goes. Anyway, so again, you go to for number 2, we're going to, again, some S is P. That's my I. No S is P. That's my E. Some S is P. That O is not P. That's my O. That's why they got the I, E, and O. The 4 comes from over here. We've got to find our middle term. So in order to find your middle term, identify your major and minor first. Short events is your minor. Speeches is your major. So short events, speeches. Your third term is always your middle, both sermons. Does it make sense? Now, because they're diagonal, like, do you see how it's second term in this line and first term in that line? That would be this one. Second term, first term. So figure 4. There's the 4. Here's number 3. So first thing I do is I find out my AII. All S is P. That's my A. Some S is P. That's my I. Some S is P. Again, we have an I. AII. I find my minor and my major. Blondes and geniuses. My third term happens to be students. It's the one that repeats itself in your major premise and your minor premise. So the one that's the same here. You will not find your middle in your conclusion. So we have first term and second term. So if I come over here, they don't have it on, why they don't have figure 1 on the page. Here it is. Do you see how it's first term and then second term? That direction. So that's figure 1. Fourth term, fourth one. E. Your E statement is your no S is P. No fish or mammals, no fish or snakes, no snakes or mammals. Those are all the same pattern. That's an E statement. Again, we have minor and major, snakes and mammals. Fish is my third term. They're both in the first position, so that matches up with here. Both in the middles are in the first position, so figure 3. So then you should do the same thing here. And first of all, I have to identify whether I have a 1, 2, and a 3. Well, 1, 2, and 3 on these. So my job first is to go find my conclusion. Your conclusion always follows a so or a therefore, consequently. It's one of those words. All right? Your sense, let's see, where are they? Here they are. These words will precede a conclusion. These words will precede a premise. Now, they're not always there, but at least one of them will be somewhere so you can identify. So I identified this is my conclusion, so I put a 3 on top of it. If this is my minor and that's my major, I go find the statement with the major, fighters. This one, see, there's no fighters over here. Come over here, fighters. And that makes this my major premise, so I put a number 1 there. Okay? That means that this guy is my second statement, my minor premise. I find the word that's not in the conclusion, and that is my middle term. My middle term is in first position and second position, so that I think is figure 1. Yes, first position, second position. So that puts this. Mood is your, like, AAA. All of the statements are all SSP. All SSP, all SSP, all SSP. AAA, 1. So anyway, I hope this makes sense. Again, go to my conclusion first. Let's see. It doesn't have a conclusion conjunction, but it does have my because and my coordinating conjunction here. So because always comes before a premise. So these are my 2 premises. So that makes this a conclusion. I identify it first so I can find my minor and my major. My major is going to be in my first major premise. So poets is my major. I don't find poets here, so poets is over here. That means this must be my first statement. Makes that my second statement and that my third one. I find my middle. They're both the last term here because, see, remember, your middle term is not in your conclusion. And so I come over here, and that would be figure 2. My middle term comes second. Anyway, I'm not going to talk through that one, but, oh, and I just didn't mark that one up all the way. Anyway, hope that's helpful.